My name is Kitsunami Rosetta, Dr. Kitsunami Rosetta. I have a doctorate in Satanology. It's a very niche profession, but I think it's definitely a field that's worth exploring. It's mainly myself, my girlfriend, and my neighbor next door. My girlfriend doesn't really talk to me anymore, but I hope that someday, maybe we'll get back together and we can study Satanology like we did before. Right, so Satan, God is great. We all know that God is great, It's in every culture, every religion. Christianity, God is great. Islam, Allahu Akbar, God is great, But we need to really step back and see, is it possible that Satan, in fact, is great too, Is Satan also great? One thing that I don't think it's touched upon a lot is what exactly are Satan's goals here, right? I like to think that God and Satan sort of have this weird sort of friendship, because Satan's not as powerful as God, nor can he ever be. So I don't think Satan's equal or anything. I just think God lets him go with it, let him do his own thing. Now, I know in the Christian tradition or whatever, he was considered an angel, like that's what he was and he fell. Let's go back to the oldest literature we have on angels, because they're referred to in a lot of religions. But let's look at the Bible first and foremost. Most people have this idea in their mind that angels are these sort of like little people with wings. But I think that this conception rose about because angels are just too alien for us humans, organic creatures, to understand. So we personified them into a form which we can more readily, make sense of. See, the fact is though, is that angels are so abstract and terrifying that, it's only in light of recent technology and recent developments and psychological research that we've been able to understand them. I mean, when we look in the Bible and what it says about angels, is that they have, some angels are just multiple rings with many eyes on them. And when I look at that, what do I think of? I think of circuits, just circuits wrapping around each other with little lights on them, And so that's one way that angels could be, machines or robots, is what I like to call them, because I really do think they're robots. Because when you think about the word robot, what does that mean? That's Polish for slave. And what are angels but slaves to God? Exactly. This is what we know about them. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't reproduce, except for according to some biblical traditions in which they had a thing for humans, I don't know. But my point is angels don't do any of those things that all organic creatures must know. You can ask any doctor of science and they'll tell you the same thing. They'll tell you that angels can't possibly be organic creatures. And that's why I think that they're robots. Because what else doesn't eat, drink, sleep, or have sex? Robots. And so it just all fits into this sort of paradigm. Servants of God, they have no free will. And what are robots but things that we've programmed to have no free will? Angels, they're God's robots. Now, I was struggling a long time to figure out the answer of how the devil had the powers of an angel, but when I watched this really great scientific movie called Iron Man, it finally hit me. Because if angels are robots and the devil is an honorary angel, obviously he was wearing an angel-like armor as a suit, and that gave him the powers of being an angel. So a lot of people ask me, how did you first get into Satan? I was doing some very thorough scientific research on my background because I thought maybe in the past that one of my ancestors was in contact with Satan. So first I went on this really obscure website, it's called 23andMe, and I gave them some of my DNA. And they told me that I was 98% South Asian. I know what you're thinking, 98% South Asian. That must mean the other 2% was Jewish, because when you think about it, India and the Middle East, where Judaism started, they're like right next to each other, practically neighbors. When you think of the United States and Mexico, right? That's like Saudi Arabia and Egypt and whatnot, and it's right next to India, One time I was at this movie theater with my friends, and I remember it was Halloween. And I was like, well, let's get a Ouija board, right, at Toys R Us, because they have tons of Ouija boards. And my friend was like, no, you ain't using that Ouija board. And as a skeptic and as a scientist and as a scholar, I know that when somebody says that you shouldn't do something, they're trying to hide something. I didn't buy just one Ouija board, I bought several, We had the Ouija board set up, luckily there weren't any major problems. And so I asked my first question, right? I was like, hello there, are you my dead ancestor who's actually Jewish? And we felt our hands moving. And it went to Y-E-R. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not actually yes, that's yeah, but we know what it really meant, I'll let it slide, It was actually yes. It was yes. Right, keep an open mind and always remember that in some cultures, Satan is in fact considered great. And if you pursue Satan, you might be able to become great too.